Last season's race here was decided by the wet conditions and a virtual safety car. Last week's race was decided by the steward's office. And now this week's race, we return to the Temple of Speed, Monza, everyone's favorite Italian track. And we have some headlines to go over in just a little bit, folks. But welcome to round number 16 here in Monza. The latest Monza has been ran in an F1 RPL season. Round 16, folks. And as always, I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, the 30th consecutive week for Tier 1. And also, yesterday was my 100th race in all tiers commentated. I did not mention that yesterday, but I thought I'd open up the stream by saying thank you all for the previous 100 here in RPL. Let's make it more than just that. Alongside me tonight is RPL Titan Iron, who has joined me in Tier 1. First as main com, now as co-com, since I've been here in RPL commentating. It's good to have you here tonight, once again.
Yeah, it's good to be here again for another round of Tier 1 racing here for RPL. Another week of commentary as well. And as you mentioned it, just want to say happy 100 commentary race anniversary for you. And
Thank
more.
you.
And there's more, and there'll be more to follow in regards for you. It's great to have you on deck for it. I believe we are going to have a full grid because one guy is going to be showing up later during Q1, possibly during Q2. I believe we have one driver that's having to serve a qualifying ban today. And yeah, let's get on with one of the fastest tracks on the calendar.
So, a few things I want to go over, folks. Yesterday's Tier 2 winner was JTK in the wet at Monza for Mercedes. Or not Monza, France, excuse me. I'm too used to last season when Luke won in the Mercedes in the wet. But JTK won in France yesterday for Tier 2 in the wet for Mercedes. Second place was JNT for Ferrari, the team principal of the Academy. And Minions, the second Academy car for Alfa Romeo, was P3. We're going to go over last week's race first before any headlines because we want to see if it's raining for qualifying. Korsman won on track, beating TB, but lost the win in the stewards room. TB won for the first time since Jeddah last season, 36 races ago. Also on the podium joining him was Jack Miles for Alpine, his 8th different F1 team he was on the podium with. The only two he's not had a podium with include Haas and Aston Martin, which he'll be racing with next season, Aston. And then Luke Grange hadn't had a podium in a full RPL season, but he is back on the podium for a 9th consecutive RPL F1 season. He shared the record previously with Maxwell. Now, he got a first podium for McLaren and his 68th podium. He is not here tonight, the league owner, Luke Grange, but the next time he's racing, we'll mention that he is looking for his 69th nice podium here in RPL F1. With that being said, the Chiller also was P4 last week, giving Alfa Romeo their best result of the season. Something to mention about the Chiller is, we're going to get to our headlines now because he is a part of Ferrari now. He raced for Alfa Romeo on PC for the first time last week, his second race on PC tonight. He is with Ferrari, the home team here in Monza, the other home team being AlphaTauri, but the home team here and the home driver with the home team once again. He won here in Monza in Season 1 and in Season 2, and he also had pole here in Season 1, and that long streak he had for a while of not having a race win had started from Monza all the way to Texas. 97 races in between his race win streak and drought that he had, and his pole position drought ended up coming to an end here in Italy after he hadn't had a pole since Season 2. That record that the Chiller previously had was broken last week by the pole sitter from last week's race, HSR Gecko, who got a pole position for the first time in 156 races last week. He is back at AlphaTauri for the week, with that being said. FRC Knights is in Haas for tonight. Tyler Freeman, debut driver, racing in Alpine. Tadpole signed him earlier today. Blonde is in AlphaTauri, reserving. CRE Dom, who's had some really impressive performances so far in Tier 2 the last 2 weeks, he is in Alfa Romeo. Wavy Knife is reserving Williams, with teammate being Egg, also known as Eggles now. NRM KVS is in Ferrari now because Scyther is not racing tonight. So, NRM KVS, welcome back to the Ferrari Academy. In the top car, you got a podium in Miami with that car. Reece Dainty in Red Bull with a qualifying ban. Adam Cotes, also known as ACL, is in the Aston Martin because Cam has a race ban due to racking up too many penalty points. And Andrea was not here last week. He is back in the McLaren alongside team principal Tadpole. Sorry to take up a lot of your time, Titan, but there's everything you need to know besides the standings.
Quite a lot of build-up and quite a lot of info here, but a lot of cars are starting to come out and getting their laps on. I'm on board with Adam Coates as he's flying his way up through the gears, up into 8th gear, maxing out those revs, heading into the braking zone of turn number 1. That is the first. Let me just make sure I have it right.
First chicane, though.
First variant. Now heading for Curve Gonda, getting back up to the gears, back up to 8th gear, flat out here. You're basically full throttle, 84% of this track, heading into the braking zone of the second variant, down to 3rd gear. Nice and easy through onto the power, back up through the gears. Now to the variants for Lesmos. Sorry, first Lesmo. Up to 7th gear into the second Lesmo. Now to the DRS and firing up that stretch as he heads down to the Zacaria chicane and be setting up for completing sector 2.
Now here he comes to Ascari, where races have been won and lost here in Formula Endurance. Zach spun Luke from 2nd place in the race. Lewis Walker went off 2 seasons ago coming out of Ascari, so these are a tricky set of corners for the drivers. And now to Parabolica, where Beatnik won this race 3 seasons ago around the outside of Jack Miles. Adam Cotes comes across the line to become the first car to cross the line and have a lap in. It is a 20.6 compared to last season's pole time. We're 1.6 seconds off. We will surely beat this in the Q1 session, knowing that it was a wet race last season. Gecko invalidated the lap, so he's going to have another go at it. We're going to go on board with Wavy Knife coming across the line because he's had some good outings at this circuit. Let's see where he is in comparison on the Williams. I think he's just using the battery now and starting a proper lap because the first one he backed off of. I want to see how far the battery drains here and how fast he can go. He maxes out at 218. That Williams car, which has no drag here and no straight line speed here and a lot of corner speed, is going to be suicidal on the straights for someone like Wavy, who only could max out at 218 and got below 80% on the battery.
Yeah, especially on that main straight, and when you're in DRS, if you have your setup right, even with the DRS available, you're stretching to a maximum frightening speed of around 220 miles an hour. The fastest speed that we've ever recorded in RPL was all the way back in season 2, was done by the Chiller in the Ferrari, where he hit the braking zone of turn 1 at 2 and hit the speed trap at almost 223 miles an hour.
We got very close, I think, in the Tier 2 race with both Ferraris in the last lap, I'm pretty sure. I think we almost went over that. Tyler Freeman just set a lap, and now the Mercedes behind that want to tow. Jack Miles is on the board as well. Owen is up there too. We're now going to go on board with last week's race winner who broke a drought, the fake TB. I will tell you right now, since I've been here in RPL as a commentator, I had not got to see TB win a race, but last week was the first time he did it in the steward's room. He became the first Xbox winner of the season. The one previously that was before him was Jack Miles. Here he comes to the Lesmos now. How is he going to take this? He's on the inside curbing and goes to the outside curbing, which you're going to want to use, but you don't want to abuse it. You can end up deleting a lap time there by going too wide at that section. And now this left-hander here, where slipstream may be picked up from the drivers in that area in the race. However, he's going to have a teammate in front from the academy, giving him some slipstream here after Ascari. Actually, no, that was an Aston of Owen getting out of the way. Tons of traffic, though, in this Q1 session so far. The Alfa Romeo, you negotiated his way through just barely.
Yeah, very true indeed, as TB taking a nice line out of the Parabolica to come across to finish his time, and he goes top of the board right now with a 19.3. That is about a tenth and a half clear of one of his sister academy teammates, of Owen, in that Aston Martin. I mean, Aston's really showing some good strides over the last few weeks, but also don't have to discount Alpine as well. They're currently sitting third and fourth, but don't forget, this is the early stages of Q1. So anything is possible and happening. I did see that there's one retirement out so far. That is Barney, who has done one lap and has called it. I mean, I'm not sure if that lap will be safe. I don't know.
I don't think he crashed, so I don't know why he did that. But Minico now coming through into Sector 3. We're riding on board with him in the Mercedes. He got a podium just a few weeks ago at Spa, DNF'd last week in Zandvoort, and received his first penalty points of the season. Now, because of that, the highest driver in the championship without any penalty points is Owen McMorrin, the Irish driver. We got Minico coming through here, the final corner now, and I thought it was going to pit for a moment, but he is going to the inside part of the racetrack to find all the time in the world. Mercedes will desperately need that, not having much straight line speed here. He goes third fastest. Do we have anyone else on a lap or not? Let's see. Blonde.
Hey, I gotta interrupt you for a sec.
Good.
I have some bad news.
Go ahead.
I have to take off because I just got a call for a house fire, so I gotta take off.
All right. Well, I will let you do that. I hope all goes well.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I know. So, for the first time here in RPL F1, it was going to happen last season in Singapore. I am by myself now. And this is something I'm not used to, but we've been prepped for this situation before to happen because of Tier 2. Titan has obviously left the session, so now we're going to ride on board with Cookie here, who is going through Sector 2 now. Let's find out what the American driver can do. He missed last week, so technically he's trying to take a streak away that he had. Something to mention of Cookie's, though. He's going for pole number 16, win number 13. And on the season, he's had 10 wins from pole, 11 all time. It's insane what he's been able to do so far, but Ascari right here is just so much on the limit that he almost exceeded track limits in the process. Reese Dainty retired from the session. He's finally serving the qualifying ban. And we also have as well Tyler Freeman and TB who've called it quits. So now we've got Cookie coming across the line now to make it a lap from himself. Only second fastest, though. We've got Tadpole now in the McLaren as well, coming through with yellow flags further up in front. That's a teammate trying to give him some slipstream. That will only help him by a few thousandths. And here comes Tadpole to the final corner. Parabolica just after Ascari. Here he comes. Can he end up setting McLaren up there on the grid for Q1 and showing them some good strides? Yes, he can. He's up there with NRM KVS. The same lap time, except the difference is just a millisecond. I'm going to put the party invite only. I know Zacaria joined on accident. I don't think he meant to. Maybe he did. I don't know. But we've got the Chiller, who is racing his home race here. The last win from him came in his other home race in Imola. So we'll find out how that all goes. Who do we have on laps here? Does anybody... not Knights now. Knights is on a lap. I should have stayed with him. For Q1 you could. Yeah, you can. Yeah, I don't mind for Q1. As long as you do it appropriately, Zacaria. I'm fine with that for right now. It's a little different. We got Knights on a lap, though. For Haas. Here he is through turn number 3 now. Flat out through here. And gonna hold the right side. And here he is through the chicane now, a little bit late there. These curbings are very, very treacherous in this area for drivers. You have to be careful with this section, with Sector 2. These curbings, I mean, we saw in the Formula Endurance race, I think it was Beatnik who lost it. on one of the curbs on the second Lesmo, and then those curbs in the second chicane, you easily can go over those curbs and mess up really, really badly. So you have to be very, very careful as a driver in the process of doing that. However, Lights comes through as Zacaria. Zacaria, you've joined me. I'm going to have you commentate Parabolica. What do you want to do here as a driver? Oh, I don't hear Zacaria. He joined the party. He wanted to commentate for a little bit. I'll let him do so in Q1. But Knights crosses the line to be 10th fastest for Haas. Haas have not had a double Q3 yet this game cycle, but it's going to take a lot for that to happen this time because DeChiller is on a lap right now for Ferrari. Purple through Sector 2. What's this PC pace going to look like from the Italian at his home race? He won here back in Season 2 and Season 1. And he had a really good chance to replicate that in Season 7. And there was the incident late in the race with Jacob that took him and Jacob out of contention. You could just see how much he's improving. A lot more confidence, but sliding at the final corner from DeChiller. Can he still go fastest here in Q1 with that slide? He is just equal with Cookie's lap time after that slide. You could tell there's still more time in that Ferrari. Oh my god.
Hello, right?
Hi, Zacaria.
This is a new place for me to be.
What? What's up?
This is a new place for me to be.
That's very true. I'll let you be here for Q1. We'll see how it goes. I was going to originally
Yes.
just be alone, but you saw the party was unjoinable and took full advantage.
Yeah, so I was watching the stream a bit on my side, and I saw that I had an emergency. Get to go, so
Yeah.
well, why not?
Well, I will tell you, I do probably want to be alone for the race, but this driver insight will be very helpful for Q1, though. I will tell you that right now. And maybe even Q2 and Q3. I'll maybe have you stay for that if I like what I'm seeing through Q1. Next on the lap, we got Andrea here. You've been in a few races with Andrea, I believe, maybe one or two. He's not been the best showing for McLaren in terms of pace. That race in Spain for Alfa Romeo, he showed a lot of hype into RPL, but since then he's not really been able to replicate that type of hype. But through 1 and 2 here for McLaren, he just needs to set up a good lap and end up getting here, I think, to the top 9, because that's what's going to be safe to get through to Q2.
Yeah, he's kind of been off it since his debut, and I had big expectations from him. You know, he was a very great driver, I thought, but he's been a bit disappointing, I guess, the last few races. You know, we see what he's going to do on this lap here and Sector 2. He's going very good through Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2 now. Let's see. It's the inside curve, outside curve is pretty good as well. Looks very good. Yeah.
A lot more
But yeah,
smoother.
Andrea has been
Lot
a
more
bit
smoother.
disappointing, I would say, this season. I think a lot of people expected a bit more from him, not gonna lie. But hopefully he can do a good race here tonight.
I would hope so. McLaren desperately need it. They had a chance at a better result last week with both cars, but it only happened with Luke after the post-race penalties were applied. 2.5 minutes remaining, so if you're not on track, you're going to have to get out there soon. Andrea comes across the line. Will he get into the 19s? Let's find out. Across the line he comes. He will be top of the board here in Monza.
That's a very good lap there from Andrea.
We mentioned the Chiller being a home driver, by the way, Zacaria, but I believe Andrea is our second
Yes,
Italian
Italian as
driver in
well,
this race
yeah.
and only other one. Let me just check.
Maybe
I
we
think
can
I'm
put
right
him there
about that.
tonight.
Maybe. I mean, with this insane pace, what has he been hiding? Let me just double check the results. I believe he is Italian.
Andrea is a pretty Italian name, isn't it? So I think he is.
Yes. Him, De Chiller, and Florian are the 3 Italian drivers we have still in RPL.
Yes.
We've got Wavy Knife on a lap right now. Just quickly before we get to the end of the Lesmos, this Williams car, what does it feel like for you? You've raced in it before.
Oh yes, it's a handful of a car. You know, it's in real life it's actually a quick on a straight line, but for some reason in the game it's very dry. It's very slow in a straight line, so Wavy is gonna struggle a lot to get through Q1 here. But yeah, it's a very stable car. It's pretty unsteery, you know, to high speed and medium speed corners. But you know, hopefully he can have a good lap here. Let's see. Ascar is a bit cautious there. I think he could have used more curb on the outside there. He's
He
getting a
has to
bit of
take
a
full
tow.
advantage tonight
A bit of a
of
tow from
any
McLaren.
mistakes. He said he loves his track, Zacaria. So here he comes, picking up some slipstream. Sorry
Yes,
to cut
he
in.
is. That's a bit of a weird line there from Wavy. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see what he's gonna put up.
Cross the
see
line
a
now
high
for
19.
Williams.
Ooh,
Is it
yeah,
through?
that's-
No.
Yeah, that's.
But He is closer to getting into the next round of qualifying. We're now on board with ACL, and big traffic jam at the final corner there. You have 3 cars in a gaggle. Everybody who is 11th on back is out on track right now, and that is what it's going to be needed to get through to Q2. Here comes Adam across the line in his RPL F1 return. Can he do it? He is in currently. He knocks Gecko and Barney out, so the only difference maker is going to be Wavy, but I don't think he's going for a 1 again. Everyone else right up there can breathe a little bit more.
I must say, it's been that a good performance from Agda, getting the Williams into Q2.
Yes, he did that in Spa, I think, 2 weeks ago in the Q3.
Good job.
Fair play to him. Here comes Blonde across the line. What can the reserve driver do? Just ahead of Egg. So even if he wanted to get to the top 10, or really didn't have to, he still chose to anyway. Checkered flag is waving. Who else do we have? Egg is up on the time, but that's not going to matter. He's already in. Just don't crash the car. That's all you could ask for. Knights is on track. Dom is on track. Adam is still on track. And Wavy invalidated. So our next one to cross the line and maybe improve a lap time here to at least have some hope for the next round of qualifying is Dom. And he's improving by 5/10.
Yeah,
right now, this would propel him toward the top 5, and yesterday he had a really good showing. A top 5 for Haas. Can he replicate that for Alfa Romeo now in qualifying in Q1?
He's a very good driver, I know from our other leagues. He's a very talented driver. So let's see what's going to go here. Last minute of Q1. He's done.
7th for him. Really good showing in his Tier 1 debut for qualifying. Egg crosses the line to try to improve. He didn't have to, but he does anyway. He's 12th. Knights as well is down on the time. He didn't have to improve either, but he still chooses to. He improved by 600ths. Adam backed off to go to the pit lane, and Blonde is now on a cooldown lap to get back to the pit lane. He is safe and through into the next round of qualifying. So we have out of qualifying now Gecko, the pole sitter last week, back to AlphaTauri this week. Barney as well, who retired early on, maybe thinking it was safe. It was not. Wavy Knife as well, a part of that bottom 4. And Reese Dainty, who lagged out from pole position in the race last season, will be starting at the back of the grid due to having a qualifying ban due to penalty points.
I'd say that's a pretty shocking performance there from Gecko. 5/10 of his team with Blonde. It's a big gap. I don't know what happened to him, but it's a very big gap there from Gecko. You expect him to be in Q2, to be fair. But, yeah, it's a shame for him.
19-2 to top Q1 from Andrea, the Italian driver for McLaren. We've got a total of 6 different constructors in the top 7. I was just ignoring one of the Mercedes for a second there on accident. But 6 different constructors making up that top 7. Dom outperforming the car for Alfa Romeo. Once again, Owen doing the same for Aston Martin. And Andrea up there for McLaren on the top of the table. KVS is back there as well. He is getting his chance to shine in Ferrari tonight because Scyther's missing. Both Alpines are in. 1 Alfa Romeo in the event tonight. 1 Alfa Romeo is into the next round of qualifying. 1 Haas in, 1 AlphaTauri and 1 Williams in. The other ones are out. Same with the Red Bull. And they're trying to get what will be, for tonight's event, in Q3, I believe a 9th consecutive pole. Let me just double check that. Yes, a 9th consecutive pole. That's only ever happened 4 times with a team.
What are your predictions? Who are going to get knocked out here?
I haven't given predictions in a while, but I think I will tonight. I think I will give some predictions as to who will be knocked out for Q2. Why not? I think out in Q2, this is going to be a really tough one because this is where the field starts to get close. I think the obvious one, based on what I saw from Q1, will probably be Adam. I think Adam will be out. That car is not fast enough on a straight line, so you have to change around the setup and alter it like Owen has in order to get yourself to the front of the field. I hate to say it too, I wish he could get through to Q3, but I don't think he will. Egg. I think Egg will be out of qualifying in Q2. I don't think that Williams has enough speed to get through. Blonde has enough speed to get through as a driver, but the car, not so much. I think he'll be out. The other 2 joining him, I don't want to say Tadpole will, but I think Tadpole will because I think Dom is going to upset and get through. And I think Knights is going to be out. So my bottom 5 is Knights, Tadpole, Egg, Adam, and Blonde. Some surprises getting through to Q3 with Dom and Tyler Freeman on debut, in my opinion.
I think I would agree. My fellow Dutchman, Harla and Xavier, I think he can have a good
He's a
shot.
Dutchman.
Yeah, he is.
I didn't know that.
Oh, is he? I don't know. I think he's a Dutchman.
You said he was. Tyler Freeman.
Yeah, but he's put his British flag up there. Yeah. Maybe his parents is like British and or just Dutch or something like that.
Well, I was gonna say if you know something we don't, that'd be good to know because you said you raced with Dom in other leagues, so maybe you do know Tyler Freeman being Dutch.
I
But I
thought
didn't know that he was
Dutch.
maybe.
My
You know
bad.
what? I'll clear that up by asking him. How about we go on board with Jack Miles, who got a podium in this race from P17 on the grid just a couple seasons ago. This race has been won from the front row, P3 or P5. Luke won it from P5 last season, the lowest it's ever been won from. And Jack Miles is one of 3 drivers to get a podium from lower than P5 on the grid in this race in Tier 1. So we're now going through turn 3, obviously full throttle right there, and braking heavy for turn 4. I'm going to give it to you, to Zacaria, to cover the rest of this and tell us what you want to do here as a driver and what he's doing as a driver.
Yeah, he could go that perfectly there. You want to go as close on the inside there, not touch the curb. You touch the curb slightly, but there. You want to go on inside curb there a bit. You miss the apex there by a meter or so. Open the DRS. Maybe gets a little bit of a toe from the car in front of the Haas. Yeah, it gets a little bit of a toe. Now you want to brake early here so you can get the car rotated. Does he do that here? Yes, he does. He got the corner there tiny bit perfectly. The car's a bit loose down the rear end, you can see. And that was the 7 out of 10 out of there for the Zacaria. So he goes in the parabolica now. You're gonna brake a bit around the 70-meter brake mark about that. Let's see. I think he can go wider there. I think he's gonna be pretty cautious there in Q2, but it's pretty okay lap definitely miles. On 99, I think that's an old set. But for an old set, that's pretty good.
I was going to say, with how he was taking it, I would have to assume it's an old set of tires.
Yeah.
Minico's coming through the sector split now, 52.8. That's only a 10th down on what the Chiller was able to do in Q1, so considering it's an old set, it's not too bad. He's going to get a slipstream here from the car in front. That is his teammate, the fake TB. We should be seeing a lot of this tonight, where the drivers give each other a little bit of draft down the straight into Parabolica or into turn 1, more likely into Parabolica, the last corner, to help them assist their way up the board, and that helps Minico get P3 here. 6 drivers setting lap times in, and here's the Merc Academy teammates doing the same thing that they did. TB gave Minico the slipstream just a lap prior, and TB gave it to him back down the main straight there, and here he comes out of turn 2. Turn 2 can be a very tricky section in terms of getting the power down and going pedal to the metal once again. Now he goes to turn 4, where I'll give it to you here, 26-2.
Yeah, that was perfect teamwork there from the Mercedes Academy there. It's a bit loose there on the entry of Curve there. It's a very good line to the number 1. Hits the outside curve perfectly there. Will hit the apex there, but yes, he does. Beautiful 2 corners there from the fake TV. Now up to Ascari, one of the most difficult corners on the calendar, I would say. It's very difficult there. Pretty good sector there from the fake TV. It's the inside curve there a bit. That's a good Ascari there from the fake TV. It's done a very good lap so far. So I think this will be around his teammates down in 19.4, 19.3 maybe. That's a beautiful toe from the Red Bull there as well. There's a lot of cars there, but he doesn't distract him. Does he go wide? And like Jack Miles, yes he does. He maximizes the track there beautifully. And I would say that's a very good lap from the fake TV. And it would reflect in his time, 19.4. Good lap there.
Very good lap, considering the fact that he ended up having the traffic in the way. Oh, that might be a penalty there coming the Alpine's way, trying to get out of the way. That was Tyler Freeman just getting in the way of Blonde there, and that may have cost Blonde about a 10th there in the last corner. That got treacherous. That will probably surely see the steward's office if Red Bull choose to report it, or anyone else outside of the academy that saw that on stream. Here's Owen McMurrin for Aston Martin. He had a podium here in Season 1's running of this race for Ferrari. Now he's transferred over to Aston 9 seasons later, and will he be able to get through into Q3 for now? Yes, he will. He is into the top 10. The ones at risk, though, are Egg just above him, or sorry, just above the top 10, but just below him. The ones out right now end up being 5 different teams. Jack Miles for Alpine, Knights for Haas, Adam for Aston, and Blonde for AlphaTauri. They're going to have to go again. With TB's lap, though, I want to say very good job navigating his way through the traffic and still setting a good lap at that ahead of his teammate.
I would say it's again a good lap from Egg, putting the Williams into the top 10 so far. But it's going to be very tight to make it, because I think Jack Miles was on an old set there. I think Blonde can improve from that little bit of traffic he had in the last corner. And Dom still hasn't set a lap, so I'm curious what he's going to do.
If he does end up setting a lap, I think I'll have 4 of my bottom 5 right. Cookie is actually going for another one, I believe, here, to try to test out, I believe, some race pace because of the lack of practice that he has had compared to other races this season. Here he comes to turn 1, using a ton of curb. Inside curb at turn 2, a little bit too much from Cookie. He backs off of that one now. So, maybe it's good that he got a little bit of extra practice here coming through the first 2 set of corners to try and figure out what he wants to do compared to what he doesn't want to do. This lap time, though, for the Q2 leader Cookie is better slightly than last season's pole time. Remember, last season's pole time, Zacaria, you might remember this race. I think you were in it. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. Was with wet setups because it was a wet race for the entire way. Inters for the drivers. 19-0 was what reset on pole position last season. Bonky set a 18-7 in the Tier 2 running of this race 3 seasons ago. And because that race was also dry, but it was Tier 2, FE also had a race where it was a evolving qualifying session that was in the wet but became dry tires. So I've factored that out and grabbed the PSGL PlayStation pole time instead for better references compared to what we might be seeing here come Q3. Their pole time for the PlayStation tier in Monza in the most recent race they ran there was an 18-2, that being 7/10 faster than Cookie currently.
Oh, that's a very good time actually from PSG. But I think Cookie can do like an 18.5, 18.4. I think that's the best I think he can do.
That's
but
what
maybe
we'll
he'll
target.
surprise us.
Maybe. Jack Miles, currently a part of this bottom 5. He needs to improve on the lap time, and he's got 6 minutes in order to propel his way up to the top 10. He's had some good races here prior, and he will look to do so again. Last season, it was a controller issue that made sure he did not race this race last season for Ferrari, and it was Josh and Scyther in the Ferraris in the wet Monza race last season. Jack Miles up by 47 thousandths, now coming through the Lesmos. This can be very tricky to nail for a driver, but you have to remember here, if I'm a driver, I don't want to overpush this. I need to brake early for Ascari, therefore I get the best possible exit available to me. 3/10 up on the time. This surely is on a new set compared to the used set he probably used earlier. Ascari was good, a little submissive to the middle part of it, but much, much better in terms of how he's been pushing it. Let's see how Parabolica goes.
Yeah, Jack is one of the most calculated drivers I've ever seen in RPL. He's a very smart driver. Let's see where he's going to put this lap. It's going to be running his teammate 19.6, 19.5. Yes, it is 19.4. Very good lap there from Jack Miles.
Alpine won this race back in Season 8 with Lewis Piper. That was their first ever RPL Tier 1 win. So Jack Miles, who got a podium for the team last week, may be looking to be their 3rd ever winner. Something to also mention as well from the drivers. One thing about Jack Miles I'll go toward next with mentioning, but I first want to mention your comment on Tyler Freeman. He says he is British/Jamaican. So, yeah, he is for sure fast, though, from what we've seen. 7th place. The only thing I was going to mention about Jack, though, that I wanted to cut in about before we get to Minako's lap here, Jack Miles got himself onto the top 10 last week for all-time podiums with his result in Zandvoort. He is now 1 podium behind Mali in terms of all-time Tier 1 podiums. So a very impressive effort from Jack Miles to get onto the podium last week in Zandvoort, which he's very familiar with before. He did it once in a Williams. Minico now coming through Sector 2 split, up by a 10th. So he still can beat TB, but is this going to be anywhere near Cookie? How's Zacaria like? This is taken much better. What's Parabolica going to be like for the Canadian driver here who took his first podium a couple weeks ago? Here he comes.
Good line there from Minico. He's lost a little bit of time because of no toe, but he's still 19-1 in the Mercedes. That's very impressive there for Minico.
Yes, it is. We have Andrea, who's further behind, coming through as well. I want to go on board with him because he was the fastest driver in Q1. We didn't get to catch much of his lap, but we can catch this lap, though, as he's going 3.5 tenths faster. Nothing like his Q1 lap currently, but it doesn't have to be. It has to be right now safely through into Q3. And right now, here he comes to Parabolica Corner, a very famous corner here in RPL, let alone in all of racing. Here it is, maximizing the time. A little bit of a slide, I think, for just a split second, but maximizing his time by going to the inside line. He just slots himself into P3. And now Owen steals the top 5 spot over TB, his Academy teammate, who thinks he's safe too. Did Schiller crossing the line? Sorry to miss that for just a second. He will go 5th fastest. Look at how close 2nd to 5th is, Zacaria.
It's like real life, man. It's Cookie, Musa, Verstappen, and it's just all close, right behind each other. A 10th between 3 drivers. That's impressive. Even that's
just 10th, just under a 10th. It's like half a 10th.
Half a 10th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I just rode on board with him. He invalidated there through the Lesmos. I told you those Lesmos can be tricky for a driver. It was.
That's session done for night there. Adam goes.
Has to be unless he goes again. I don't think there's enough time though. I can't see because the yellow flag's in the way for every sector. He may have time to go again, but he has to recharge, and he has. So he might actually get a good chance at this. We were on board with KVS on a lap, but we're going to switch it to Adam because he's a part of the bottom 5. And he needs to put this car into Q3 to have a chance to have both Astons competing for pole. 2.5 tenths, so that's much better in terms of the improvement here. But this second chicane can be treacherous for a driver. He has to make his way through it carefully, and he has. Now here comes the Lesmos. There's not a lot of corners around this circuit, so you'd think that Cookie would be getting challenged more often. But the fact of the matter is, he is not, because that Red Bull car is just so fast in a straight line. Here comes Adam now, on the straight line here, to Ascari, 208. 211, 213, 214. That's what he maxes out at. 5 tenths up. But he just messed himself up of getting through. He invalidated here at Ascari. Another tricky place for track limits.
London is 4 tenths up in the first sector alone. And he got held up in the last sector as well. But he can do this.
NRM KVS aborts the lap. 7 tenths. 7 tenths now, Zacaria. This could be perfect for the driver who's reserving once again. Here he comes now through the last sector and the last corner approaching his way. Turn 11, Parabolica. This AlphaTauri has not seen Q3 since Imola, the other Italian race earlier this season. Can Blonde put that car in Q3? Yes,
it's
just for now, but I don't think it's safe.
Yeah,
here comes Egg. Or not Egg, sorry, the other Alpine, Tyler Freeman has started a lap. I thought it was Egg going to beat it, but Egg right now is not going to beat it.
At the Tadpole is going to beat Blonde, sadly. Very good lap.
Knightsville first before Tadpole. Then here comes Tadpole. Sorry, Tadpole up to 6th. He's through. Good lap from Tadpole.
Egg is really down. I don't think he's going to make it.
Yeah, Knight's knocked out because of that lap from Tadpole, by the way.
That's Domina from Aerostar.
Yes, his one and done. Egg pits. Adam, I think he's backed off. Yeah, he has. Dom now is the one we're putting our eye on here because it's going to be between him and Tyler Freeman, who is also in the background. And if both their laps are good enough, they can knock Jack Miles out, who we saw do a decent lap. Here comes Dom across the line for Alfa Romeo. Can he get the team into Q3? The answer is no, but he got them just shy of it. Jack Miles, sorry, was the one first to improve before Tyler Freeman. Jack Miles, P7 there in Q3, or sorry, in Q2, getting into Q3 with both Alpines now because of that lap.
Yeah, Dom had a beautiful slipstream in the second one as well, but he's just gonna make it a tenth of Tyler Freeman, the debut driver. Good performance there in Q2, not gonna lie. Egg did a good job, Blonde as well. And the Fire Academy drivers did a good job also, so I think they maximised the package in this qualifying session.
5 different constructors eliminated in that bottom 5. They're going to be relegated, and then we'll have 10 to decide pole position tonight here in Monza. That will include Cookie, Minico, Andrea, Owen, DeChiller, Tadpole, Jack, KVS, TB, and Tyler Freeman on debut. We have 2 Alpines in, 2 Mercedes in, 2 McLarens in, 2 Ferraris in, 1 Red Bull, 1 Aston Martin. So, we're now on the board with the McLaren driver, getting back to the pit lane to set a lap in Q3. That is Tadpole, who is through into the next round of qualifying. Thank you for proving me wrong, Tadpole, because I had him out. He was the only one I got wrong, I think. I had Dom in. He almost did it. Relegated and eliminated. Knights for Haas, Dom for Alpha, Blonde for AlphaTauri, the other Alphas. Egg for Williams, and Adam for Aston Martin. Just shy for Knights and Dom. They were the closest ones to challenge the top 10. But the top 10 drivers within 6/10 of Cookie, who they're all chasing at the top of the table. Get your predictions in for Q3, folks. Zacaria, I'm going to let you go here in a minute, but I want your predictions here for Q3 before I let you go.
I think it's going to be Cookie, obviously. He's literally the Verstappen of RPL at the moment. But I think close after him is going to be KVS and Minico.
I will actually give top 3 predictions for the first time here in a very long while. Your top 3 for tonight's qualifying will include, in no particular order, Cookie, DeChiller. I want to say Andrea so badly, but Minico's been up there, so I can't deny Minico of a top 3 because of that. Cookie, Minico, DeChiller. I think Andrea is going to be close. I feel like KVS is hiding something. These Alpines, though, I'm telling you right now, I think it was last week for qualifying they were close, but they're closer than they've been in recent weeks. They've found some speed there with Jack and Tyler Freeman, and this is the perfect circuit, just like it was for them to win at in Season 8. All right, Zacaria, I'm going to let you go, my friend. Thank you for joining me in Q1 and Q2 to not have me lonely. I hope you end up enjoying the race from the Twitch point of view to see who's going to win it tonight. Thank you. All right. We've got the first cars out on track. Tyler Freeman, Owen, and the other Ferrari. Also the Mercedes, too. Who's going to do it? Who's going to do it here for pole position tonight? I don't remember what the Q2 time was, but I'm going to say pole position tonight in terms of a pole time. We're going to have to go with an 18-4. 18-4, 18-5, I think we're eyeing here for pole position. I think we might get close to the 18-3s, but I just don't know. Really, it's going to depend on a lot of slipstream here from drivers in order to get a pole time like an 18-3. But the thing is, though, usually you could sit here and say Cookie would get it with a slipstream from Reese or an AlphaTauri getting through. But the thing is, though, he does not have a teammate here in the third round. Oh my god, that food earlier did not like me. He does not have a teammate here in the third round of qualifying, so that's going to really change the perplexion of this for Cookie. Not going to get a slipstream here. Oh my god, he just barely split those 2 cars. I don't know how. I was just going to say he's not going to get any planned slipstream. He can choose to pick up one from a driver on accident, but there's no one going to be giving him a slipstream on purpose here. So if you're going to take any advantage from slipstreams here tonight, you have the perfect chance to do it with 3 Merc Academy cars in, 4 Alpine cars in, and 2 Ferraris here into the third round of qualifying for pole. Turn 1 and turn 2, and probably a used set from Minico, looked a little shabby. There may be more time in that lap in the first 2 set of corners, but 26.4 from the Canadian. What can he do now? Sliding into the grass and into the kitty litter, and somehow is not in the barrier. We're going to switch it to the driver who is looking for another pole position in the season. It would be pole number 14 for Cookie. We're going to ride on board here and stay silent as he goes through the second chicane. Rear locking it to try to find some time. I think there may have been a little bit more left in it from Cookie, but not a lot more though. This could be unused sets, so he might not maximize everything to the limit. We're going to switch off of tires, folks, because we're going to focus on what the lap time will be here from the drivers. Through the sector split, we saw a lot of 52s. What is the 52s like? 52.2! 52.2 in comparison to the 52.5s, 52.6s we saw. Across the line, the first 3 drivers come. Tyler Freeman's on a 19.6. KVS is at an 18.8. The Chiller crossed, Minico crossed, but they're all chasing Cookie so far from Q2. Can he top the session here to go provisional pole? Across the line, Cookie comes. 18.4 provisional pole. Can the fake TB say something? No, he can't. Owen, can he do something either? Only the second row. And then it's home hero Andrea and Tadpole. Tadpole across the line. Here he comes. He caused a collision 2 or 3 seasons ago here in turn 1 on a restart. He's now looking for better, and he does do better. P4. Tons of pace in that McLaren. But can the other McLaren teammate find even more pace? Across the line, the home hero Andrea comes third. His best qualifying yet as of the current moment. Jack Miles, the last one to set a lap. 9th. So Cookie only has 2 drivers within a second of him. And it's maybe the 2 we didn't expect. The 2 on Xbox. Andrea and KVS. Andrea for a home race. KVS for a home race for the team. All the drivers will be looking to head back to the pit lane here to get a new set and redo it again. Minico set the first lap there, though, last. So we could be seeing track evolution from the drivers as things continue. I do expect this to be on used sets for most guys. Since we have time to do so, we may take an ad break here through Q3 at some point, but I want to mention, folks, we have 2 rounds being canceled here from Tier 1 later on in the season due to F124 coming out earlier than anticipated. The 2 rounds we will not run, and everything will be pushed up by 2 weeks, will be because of races like Qatar and Abu Dhabi being canceled here from the Tier 1 schedule. Every other race gets moved up. Las Vegas is the 200th scheduled Tier 1 event, I believe. As for the 200th race in Tier 1, that will come at Texas, round 22. Brazil will still be the finale, but that will be fully announced later on. As for other things, folks, that we need to focus on, I just want to mention, please get your predictions in chat. There's 6 of you watching. There were 20 at one point watching in Tier 2 yesterday, so we can get more watching and predicting for pole position. I want to see what you guys think in terms of the pole time and the top 3. The only thing I wanted to go over besides that calendar is that we're racing in Singapore next week, and we still have to return to Portugal and China this season in RPL for tracks that we have not ran in 2 or more seasons. The Chiller is out on track right now, but he's the only one out on track. In the meantime, he has over 30 seconds before he'll at least get to the line at the earliest. We'll take a 30-second ad break here, folks, and come back in the meantime here with more insight. luck, though. You guys, good luck. All right, 4 minutes to go. Home hero to Chiller in his home race, trying to get on pole position for Ferrari. And I'll tell you right now, he may have enough fuel here to go again, but he's going to max out at 217 into turn 1. He's going to take the right side curb and not the left side curb, because you saw what happened earlier to Cookie when he did that. He ended up in a mistake in Q2. Now maximizing the time by hugging the right side of the track here. Onto the curb, not touching the grass luckily. Is the time up? Yes, it is. He's improving by a tenth and a half. He would only marginally be faster than Tyler Freeman as of the current moment. He had a little bit of a slide there in the second chicane, but in the Lesmos now, he is right on the limit, right on the curbs here, trying to maximize all he can. He doesn't look as comfortable as that Q1 lap, but what he does look, though, is faster on new sets of tires than used sets of tires. Up by 9/10. And he, right now, if he completes this lap, would make it onto the front row, but I think he may have lost a little bit of time there. Exiting Zacaria, it looked like it could have been a little bit better. Maybe a slight mishap. It looked like a slight slide from him that he was trying to control. Now, that slide he had in Q1 is avoided at the final corner. Across the line, the Chiller comes to go to the front row at his home race here. The Chiller is back on the front row here in RPL. This time in a Ferrari, and much needed there from him to be only 2/10 off of Cookie. We've got NRM KVS, the other prancing horse, starting a lap here. The Finnish driver has only been on podium once, and we've only had one Finnish driver on podium in Tier 1. 2 new nations joined the podium, and 2 new drivers joined the podium this season in Tier 1. KVS did that for himself and Finland in Miami. Minico did that for himself and Canada in Belgium. Here's KVS, only down by 41 thousandths. So there's still time probably coming from Sector 2 and Sector 3 to beat teammate DeChiller. But both Ferraris here tonight look to be giving Cookie a challenge. And he went too wide, and he went out of bounds, invalidating the lap there at the second Lesmo. That is troubling for KVS there, who will have to recharge and go for another one, but I don't think he's going to be at full blast for that battery all charged back up. Minico was improving through the first sector, but he's last on our timing charts right now. He needs to find more time through the second sector in order to propel himself up the grid. He's now 9/10 up, just like the Chiller was. But right now, this only sets him 5th. He's got tons of traffic in the way. One being his teammate. His teammate's going to be friendly. He'll give him the slipstream. His teammate now has to avoid the other car, and he does just that, just barely. Minico to Parabolica now to try to set his sights to pole position or a front row starting spot. Maybe second row being possible. Can he do it? Yes, second row for the Mercedes driver, and now the slipstream is effective for TB. How much does he hit by turn 1? 218, revving it out. TB has never taken pole here in Monza, but he took a podium 2 seasons ago in this race from P10 on the grid. I think that's Jack Miles coming through 5/10 up. We'll go on board with TB to see the first sector, 88 thousandths. We're now switching to the ending bits of laps here, folks. 6/10 up from Jack Miles. Can Jack do it for Alpine? Their best starting spot as a team at this circuit is second with Lewis Piper when they won here before. Across the line, 5th for Jack Miles. That's a decent lap from him. Can anybody do better? Andrea invalidated. That's it from him. Tyler Freeman is up by 5/10 now. I don't think that'll be enough. Can Tadpole and others improve through the sector split? I think that's Minico just getting out of the way. Tadpole's up by 3/10. Owen only by a 10th there. Andrea would have set himself onto the front row right there with that lap. Tyler Freeman across the line for Alpine. Can he set himself up there? Yes! 5th place. Next is TB. TB is improving, but only to the 2nd row. And next is KVS, who goes to the front row, beating the Chiller by a millisecond. Tadpole next for McLaren to go 5th. Can Cookie improve? No, he crashed somewhere and retired from the session. That is it from him. The only one who can say something about a Cookie pole position is Owen McMorran, but he couldn't do it. He only is a millisecond ahead of Andrea. It's the Ferraris who are challenging Cookie, but Cookie takes pole number 14 on the season and ends up setting himself on the all-time pole list 3rd ahead of the Chiller, who's had his best qualifying of the season as well. And in terms of Red Bull, a 9th consecutive pole position that ties the team's personal record. And not only does it tie the team's personal record, but in terms of pole positions in Monza consecutively, it is their 6th consecutive. And it's with a 6th different driver. You had Maxwell, you had Flynn, you had the Chiller, you had Luke, and you had Reese last season. But this season, it's Cookie with an 18-4 ahead by 2 tenths. He was up by a 10th and forgot to hit the apex is what he said. The car died. He was setting himself up for an 18-3 Cookie was on that lap. That is insane. The top 10 is within 7/10. Zacaria notes. Very good to note that, Zacaria. Here we go. Cookie, KVS, the Chiller, Tadpole, and TB are our top 5. Outside of the top 5, Andrea and Minico. A little bit disappointing there from them, guys. I did expect a little bit better. With that said, Tadpole, I believe, just got his best qualifying of the season. Not only did he get his best qualifying of the season, but Ferrari gets 2nd and 3rd, their best qualifyings of the season. KVS with his best in RPL. The Chiller with his best this season. It is an entirely dry race, so we're looking at a one-stop strategy where drivers will either go onto the soft tires from the hards or the revert strategy. The same could be said with the mediums. We can likely see soft mediums here be a potential. Just keep in mind, folks, with that being the case, with soft mediums, that's likely going to come from both Red Bulls here. I don't expect it from the entire field, especially not the Ferraris, who have horrible tire wear. Keep in mind as well, folks, the pit stop loss around here is 23.5 seconds, and you gain back over 20% in the pit lane, so you have to be careful with your battery when conserving it. Now we're just waiting on the drivers to ready up, make their last-minute adjustments. Well, we've seen lap 1 shenanigans here at turn 1. Season 5, it's happened. And it's happened after that too. Will we see it again? The 5 lights are coming on in Monza. Can they avoid the turn 1 troubles? It's pedal to the metal. It's go, go, go here for Monza in RPL. Side by side to turn 1. KVS, the Chiller, Cookie, the top 3 as they head toward turn 1. They're side by side there. We're going to watch 4th place as they get very, very tight and hairy. That's TB getting squeezed in the middle, and there's major contact. That's an Alpine flying up into the air, ghosting through a car, and that was almost troubling for a TB who got squeezed in the middle here, but it's very racy. 4th on back. They're 4 wide for a split second. Owen is challenging 4th place, but more importantly, they do figure it out as they were 3 wide. That was the Alpine of Tyler Freeman getting all out of shape and under the curb, almost forcing Tadpole off. Minico's lost 4th place to Owen, who is absolutely blown him out of the water after a mistake there that Minico had. Now it's 5th on back, just getting all close to one another, and they're now single file. Everybody is. Cookie, though, leading and still leading. Have they figured it out here, the midfield, in their troublesome lap 1? Andrea is side by side with Gecko. Do they survive a Zacaria like this? They do remain wheel to wheel, and Andrea is out ahead. But now, here comes Reese Dainty on lap 1, taking full advantage. He had a qualifying ban. He's up to P13, and spin! Spin! It's Cookie from the race lead! That's not the first time we saw it from Red Bull in Monza. It happened to L74G before. And now the Chiller's been affected. He's back to 4th place. Tadpole's on the podium. The top 3 is now KVS, Owen, and Tadpole, but something massive has just happened to Cookie. He's back to 19th. What has happened to Cookie? A rare mistake to him has set him further back, but now the podium is up for grabs with Tyler Freeman and Tadpole. They're the ones challenging further on back. Wavy Knife is on the move. He's trying to get Gecko now. I can't believe we just missed a Cookie spin from the lead watching Reese get more cars here. And he's up to the top 10. Up to P10 from 9 places back. P19. Andrea got blonde there just a moment ago. Sorry to miss that, folks. But Tyler Freeman is now up to 4th place, trying to get 3rd over to Chiller. Owen, by the way, the big winner from the start here, from P9 in the grid up to P2. Here's the different tire compounds, folks, that we're seeing on our screens now, but it is wide open for this race. Can Cookie win it from P19 now? Andrea through on Dom at the last corner. Dom trying the up and under. Now here's the Chiller getting challenged for 3rd place. Tyler Freeman to the podium on debut. Tadpole with massive momentum, trying to go through on both. Can't do it. The Chiller back up down the inside. Late lunge, he goes through. Further on back, this train goes to 10th place. Egg is getting Blonde in the process. Blonde now squeezing him to the curb. Both AlphaTauris are there. Both Williams are there. And I'm still missing 3rd place because Tyler Freeman takes it back again. This is shaping up to be an insane race with what just happened to Cookie there, and he's still not caught up to the back of the field. That's Gecko taking the runoff and coming back on in the path of Egg, and now Wavy has to take avoiding action. Barney takes off both. In the mix of things as well, there's Wavy Knife, the teammate there. Tadpole as well is getting overtaken for 5th place on the road. Cookie is now finally caught up to the back of the train, and he's getting Adam Cotes. He's up to P18. He's up to P17, and he's now about to get P16 here. 3-1, Cookie! Bravo! I don't know how that just happened, but that is impressive. Here's Reese Dainty trying to pick off Jack Miles for P9 on our grid. At the back of the field, Adam Cotes getting challenged, but the more important place is going to be for P3 here. They're all chasing after Owen and KVS up in front of them, but here goes the Chiller blasting past. He lost a lot of places after the Cookie mishap. I don't know if he had to avoid Cookie spinning or what happened, but down the inside, Reese connects wheels with Jack. It almost was troublesome there at turn 2. He might have some PTSD from the incident that he had with TB there 2 seasons ago. But now, he's using battery to try to get past Jack Miles. Jack defends. Reese can't get the place. He's very low on battery. He's wasted it a lot there trying to get by. Gecko with a 3-second time penalty. Here's Jack Miles, folks, being overtaken by Reese and now Andrea, and the Chiller has just put himself into the penalty box for the first time this race. Not good. I'm still very interested to see what happened to Cookie there early on. I joined the Discord to see if he has anything to say. But I think Tyler Freeman has something to say about P3 on the cards. Cookie fastest lap. He gets Egg and Blonde. Reese gets Knights. But DeChiller back down to P4. They're still side by side to turn 1 here. And now Andrea has the inside line and muscles his way past Knights. Little RG Bargy there, but it's okay in the process. Jack Miles now wants a taste of this. Cookie, by the way, got P13 from that melee there going on behind him. The gap from him to the lead, though, after he set fastest lap, 9 seconds. He's going to have to pick his way through the field as Minico, who's underfueled, is now chasing after P4. Here he comes. Here he comes. Gaining, 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 and through the long way around. Minico up to P4. Can anyone else pick off some places? Wavy is doing just that on Barney. I think he obliterated the battery. Now, Adam sends it. Goes too deep, but somehow keeps Barney in front for the time being. And they're now still side by side. Some smoke from the car in front locking up. I think maybe on the rears. Cookie got Dom in front, as you can see at Parabolica. But now Adam finally in this 3-car race gets the place comfortably over Gecko and Barney, who had a little bit of wheel banging down that straight. And now here comes Minico for 3rd place in this race. Does he go for the dive? No. In the background, Cookie's getting Knights for 11th. And he tags Jack at turn 1. Cookie runs into Jack, tapping him around. Cookie getting Knights now for P10. He's on the move once again. We've not talked a lot about our race leader, KVS. 2-second lead. A lot of drivers, including Minico, also talking about drivers braking too early or too late. Cookie realizing now that he's going to get a penalty for spinning out Jack, but now TB is mixing it up with Tadpole. Tadpole ran wide and had to concede the place there to TB for 6th place. Minico now getting Tyler Freeman on P3. Here's the Chiller 2. In on the battle. Here he goes on Minico 2. Is he going to get 2 and 1? Around the outside. Now trying for a switchback, but he has Tyler Freeman there for company, which results in him not doing it. Jack Miles up a place again after his error that he had with Cookie. DeChiller is back at it now with Minico for P3. The podium place. He is not going to go through. He backs off. I'm still trying to find out what happened to Cookie there on lap 1. I still can't find that out. I tried to ask Cookie, but I think he's very focused on the race. Is DeChiller going to go for it? Is he going to go for the pass? No, he's not. Behind that, Reese Dainty is eyeing up a move, but he does not get through. Cookie, what's the gap to the lead? It was 9 seconds earlier. It's now 8 seconds. He's got a lot of pace on KVS here. I'm still confused on what happened to Cookie like that. It was so sudden, spinning out of the race lead. That is not the first time we saw Red Bull do that at Parabolica. It happened with Luke leading the race in lap 24 2 seasons ago. And now, the Chiller trying to get past. Reese just got Tadpole. Cookie got Andrea. And here comes DeChiller making the slingshot on Minico for P3. Further on back, Jack Miles getting Egg. Dom getting Knights. That's the first place outside the points there. That's P11. Minico not happy with DeChiller there, as DeChiller either made a mistake and let him go or backed off to get DRS right here and is now playing DRS games here. Minico not happy in the driver's voice chat. Here comes DeChiller back at it. He's not making the move here. Tadpole into the penalty box from P8. That is going to be critical when it comes to the podium race very soon here, but DeChiller is making Minico feel like they're losing time here for the gap to the race leader. The thing is, though, is DeChiller is probably doing this for his teammate to try to help out KBS win. TB in the background is getting Tyler Freeman, and DeChiller is now getting Minico up a place, up into P3. Tyler Freeman now side by side with TB into turn 1, now to turn 2. They almost connect wheels, but Freeman gets the exit speed to propel himself up to P5. Yellow flags further back. It's Gecko into the wall in the main straight. And he's now, I think, got damage maybe. No. He was just very slow there out of the corner. But yeah, rare mistake there from Cookie. Hitting Jack Miles. Not only hitting Jack Miles, but spinning out from the race lead there not too long ago. And he's trying to do the recovery drive that will help him potentially win this race on track. He's up to P8 and now just behind his teammate, Dainty. Oh, Dainty wiggled, and Cookie takes full advantage. Cookie saw his teammate wiggle at Ascari, and he's through. Oh, and Cookie did the same. Cookie went wide there at Parabolica, and made a major mishap. He's back down to P9 from P7, and Gecko's out. He's crashed. Minico got DeChiller before that safety car is deployed. Wow. Barney pitting already for hard tires. Keep in mind, from the folks who are pitting here, you can go the rest of the way on your tires probably, but it's a matter of if you're going to go hards or mediums, or if you're going to try to go something different. I meant to say before that safety car came out, Minico got DeChiller just in time, and also further on back, I think it was Dom getting Knights just in time too. Those guys got up a place from that. Cookie said, I just heard in the voice chat not too long ago, that mistake he made at Parabolica was basically the same thing, almost, that he did on lap 1. Everybody is pitting, but I just had a talk with Cookie as to why that happened. Lots of double stacking, by the way. I want to talk about what happened to Cookie, by the way, because the thing is, what he did there at Parabolica is he did the same thing on lap 1, obviously spinning out, or sorry, lap 2, whatever it was, lap 1, lap 2, spinning out. But the thing about Cookie doing what he did is he said he did not, or sorry, he forgot to change his qualifying wings. That's why he's spinning so much. So Cookie is in a big error because of that. The guys who got jumped most in the pit lane here from double stacks, DeChiller, TB, I believe, got jumped. Andrea got jumped by Dom, and Barney jumped a few of them. He was last. Jack Miles got held up. Adam Coates got held up. Wavy got held up. A lot of guys being caught out by the double stack. Dom, the only one on softs, but the driver who was by himself here from the qualifying band staying out, Reese Dainty. I'm trying to figure out what... I'm trying to listen to the drivers here and see what Reese is doing. So, I want to go over the track limit penalties that drivers have right now. DeChiller is in the 3-second club. Tadpole is in the 3-second club. Cookie had an incident earlier on with Jack Miles and could be facing the steward's office because of that. Freeman might be facing the steward's office from qualifying after his blockage with, Blonde. I think there was an incident with Gecko spinning on the main straight that had to come from contact, surely, at the back of the field. We'll find out if anything gets done from those things later on in the steward's room. But lots of things going to be looked at here later on. Dom saying to Andrea, enjoy the penalty coming your way. Miniko saying to Owen, you're lagging a little bit. Something to look out for. I'm going to go on board with Owen and see if he's lagging. But under the safety car, folks, I want to do a run through the field and end up talking about who is doing where and what they're doing, and some people who might have a chance here for a race victory. Reese Dainty is leading. He stayed out on those tires. He's currently got the most consecutive points streak with races in terms of any driver on the grid. 10 races in a row. This strategy does change the fact of whether he gets 10 in a row, 11 in a row still, or it stays at 10 in a row. KVS was leading the race before the safety car came out, and he had a 2.2 second lead. He kept that gap consistent, but the only guy who was gaining time was Cookie. However, he made mistakes in the process. Owen had a podium in this race in Season 1. He has had 2 podiums this season, but Aston Martin as a team, they have not won since the Season 3 finale. Miniko has never won, but he's been on podium once. Tyler Freeman is trying to do this on his debut. Alpine won twice here in RPL before, once in this race 2 seasons ago. DeChiller and Tadpole going to be costed due to penalties. Dom in his Tier 1 debut on softs, he's going to be put at a disadvantage. And fair play to Barney, who might have a chance at points now, gaining because of pitting that lap earlier. So, the top 3 are made up of drivers who've either never won or not won in a long while in terms of the net top 3, but the race leader is yet to pit. He's now pedal to the metal. Green flag racing, once again. Dainty leads, but KVS is getting challenged for the net race lead. He's using the battery, turning on the jets. Owen, does he make the move on the inside? No. Further on back, we've got moves being made. Does anyone blow turn 1? Almost some guys did that in the background, but TB, the big one here, trying to challenge Cookie. Further on back, everybody, it seemed, was about wheel to wheel, heading into turn 1. Adam is still trying to take advantage with the battery being turned on. Owen trying to take advantage, and Miniko and Freeman, side by side. Freeman went way too deep, and Owen tried to avoid it. He went too deep too, and Miniko and Freeman up a place because of Owen's issue there at turn 4. They blew the second chicane there. I knew it was going to happen at some point to somebody. We've seen it happen time and time again at Monza. But now for the net lead. Does KVS take it? Not just yet. The fake TB, the third different driver to pick up a penalty so far. Here's his teammate Miniko being pressurized for 4th place. Oh, Owen has his academy teammate in contact. I believe that's Tadpole who hit him. It's a 3-car collision at the last corner, and some are heading to the pit lane. Miniko, a rare mistake again. The lead. KVS takes it. Reese has to propel for 2nd and deal with that. Miniko, rare mistake. He's back a few places from it. Andrea, Dom, and Knights now take advantage of the points. Massive 4-car battle here for what is now P9. Freeman, late into turn 4 again, takes over 2nd place. He's on medium tires and gonna try to make the end of the race here. Oh, that was a Williams who went wide there. I believe that was Egg. at the Lesmos, and Andrea has just picked up a 3-second time penalty. Cookie and Reese do the teammate swap. Reese, though, made a mistake in a Zacaria on the older tires and now is holding up the Chiller. Wavy with a penalty, and here comes TB on the Chiller. TB backed off, holding his ground behind Reese. The Chiller took advantage. Reese now probably waiting it out for a safety car. He's being overtaken by the fake TB now. Cookie now has full advantage of the top three, and he could be getting a penalty later on for that incident with Jack. 3-car battle behind the top three into turn 1. Adam following Barney. He is very close to Barney again. Jack on the back of Andrea. Academy teammates here. Swap it around. Unlike TB and Minico, or sorry, unlike Owen and Minico, no Academy teammate collision. Here is Minico trying to reclaim 6th place on the field. However, Freeman has a ton of straight line speed. Alpine have a top 2 car in the straight lines here, so they're going to try to take full advantage with both their drivers, Jack and Freeman, who are penalty free. Now, for the lead, I think KVS tried to back off there to allow Freeman to get DRS, but I think Freeman is going to let Cookie have a go for the lead with KVS. 3 cars under a blanket for the lead. Past halfway, Cookie from last at one point after spinning earlier on takes back the lead of the race. TB gets the Chiller, and further on back, it's an absolute gaggle. Dom with Reese and Minico. We've also got Owen lagging out. We'll get him an invite back. My co-commentator is not here to invite him. Reese not pitting has definitely affected some of the field getting held up. The next guy getting held up is Jack Miles. And Dom was one being held up earlier on. He's on soft tires. The question now becomes with him, can he make it the rest of the way? He's in a Ferrari Academy car. Their car sucks on tire wear. The Chiller holding his ground just behind TB. Jack Miles got the place on Reese. The ones who will not be fighting for points, though, because of how far back they are, it's Wavy, Owen, and Tadpole. Tadpole picked up the wing damage, getting very unlucky in the Minico and Owen collision. Owen obviously spun out. He's now 17th. Minico could be facing the steward's office. He's currently 6th. The Chiller now on the back of TB. Up to 4th on track. Jack up on Dom, and Reese pits. And Jack is now trying to get Minico. Jack with the dummy. He's going to go the long way around. Will Minico go with a late lunge to try to send it back up the inside? No, that's Jack giving him the squeeze and taking 6th place away from Minico. Can Dom for Alfa Romeo be another upset here on the 2nd day running? The answer for right now is no. He's just going to have to be conservative and get the soft tires the rest of the way home. But Alpine, who had not had a podium up until last week, all the way from Season 8, Round 21 Brazil. That was the last time they had a podium before last week's race in Zandvoort. They're looking at back-to-back podiums with Tyler Freeman being the assist for them. Here we go. Andrea intercepts 8th place away from Dom. We've got both Italians doing what they can to get themselves up on the grid with penalties. Oh, Andrea made a mistake there, and he went wide. And Dom can take full advantage of this, but he won't. I guess Tyler Freeman made a mistake there. He was within DRS of the race leader Cookie, but now he pulls out, trying to defend the battle with NRM KVS. Can't defend it any longer. Weaves the wheel, and KVS through. TB through on the Chiller, and now Minico through on Jack. It's all kicking off. Dom into the pits, though, believing he can't make it on the soft tires the rest of the way. Looking back at it, that was not a smart strategy call. Gecko spinning on the straight by himself. Maybe a wheel desync is what happened earlier on to him. He's the only driver we've lost from this race. Jack Miles gaining, but not enough to make the move on 6th place runner Minico. Reese on soft tires, going to have to hope for a safety car now outside the points. Dom as well outside the points too. Right behind Reese. If there is a safety car, Reese and Dom can really take advantage of these penalties. But I think Freeman's going to have to sit behind KVS here and try and find a way up to Cookie. But Jack is taking advantage of Minico, and Andrea's doing the same, and there is contact. Minico goes off and comes back on and almost shunts in the side of him, and they did have the Williams in the background going off too, but Knights takes advantage of both. Knights got through momentarily before backing off for the DRS. Minico not too happy. I can hear him in the driver's chat. Not too happy. He's still not happy. Andrea getting through. Blonde getting through. 3 abreast on the main straight. DeChiller got TB. Freeman got KVS. And they're still not done back and forth at it. Blonde up to P7 momentarily before getting connected with Andrea. This is insane battling right now. Reese Dainty takes over the fastest lap. Minico is right there in the mix too. He's trying to get out of this gaggle. And here he goes down the inside of Blonde. He rear locks it side by side in the background. Minico off. Minico is absolutely having tons of struggles battling these other drivers in this pack of cars, which has had Adam up the order, Knights up the order now, Egg to the points for Williams, Blonde for AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri, they've not scored points here since Canada, round 10, 6 weeks ago. So they're taking full advantage of all this happening. We're about to reach 8 laps to go in this race, and we've got quite a lot happening in this race. Yellow flags further on back. That is for Wavy. Around. But TB is taking full advantage on DeChiller, making the overtake. He is up to P4. Cookie's got a 3-second lead. And now trying to prevent himself from getting penalized any further from that incident with Jack Miles that he had. Wavy to the pits. Wavy to try to take fastest lap, I'm assuming. It's big DRS trains here, which will be big factors by the end of this race. I'm disappointed with how good of a race it's been that we only have 5 watching here. Home driver DeChiller is trying to take P4 back from TB. He will be losing out on P5 with the penalties being applied at the end of this. But right now, Cookie is extending the gap for the race lead. The gap is 3.5 seconds, which was just moments ago 2.7. KVS is boosting, and he's trying to get past Tyler Freeman, and he will claim second place. KVS will trying to go for a second podium, and DeChiller is absolutely pinching TB as he does go past. Wavy with a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Minico is up back into 11th. And right now, it puts him in the net points with Eggel's penalty. And I've just cursed him. He's around at turn 2. I have my volume down and I can hear Minico very frustrated from the stuff that has happened this race. He is really not having the experience right now that he would have wanted. However, Tyler Freeman has dropped back to 3rd place here, and out of DRS of KVS. This will get interesting because can he hold on track for third over to Chiller and TB? Will they appeal any of those 3-second penalties? Is Tyler Freeman falling off so badly to where his teammate will beat him now? Here is the Chiller taking over P3 now on Tyler Freeman, who was on the podium for a long, long time this race. Blonde gets Andrea. He currently has no penalties and could be getting P7, a good haul of points. Minico is in to the pits. And I think going to go for fastest lap here. He got fastest lap last week. The 4th different driver to take one this season. In terms of the Chiller's stint with Ferrari, though, prior in RPL, Tyler Freeman went wide. He's had 9 wins, 12 poles, and 25 podiums for the team. Right now he's on podium on track, but he's not going to keep it when the penalties do get applied. Tyler Freeman battling with TB now as we enter the final corner with just the laps ticking down here. Tyler Freeman holds on for now. Going defensive there, but he's got barely any battery in the tank. Luckily for him, the Chiller doesn't have much either, and he's boosting to try to stay ahead, and the Chiller squeezes him to the grass! Oh my, on the straight, that got crazy. And Andrea overtakes Blonde for a position there. Owen back up to 12th. Owen trying to pick off the pieces to get back up the field, but the Chiller threw a massive, massive block there on Tyler Freeman. That was very dangerous. That might see the steward's office. I'm sure it will. He's already going to have the 3-second penalty, putting him a little bit farther back. But now Owen does a teammate swap. A little switcheroo with Adam up to P11. He's trying to get back to the points after that collision with Minico earlier on. And a Chiller back to P3 on track. Overtaking Tyler Freeman. If Tyler Freeman ends up taking the podium here today, we will have a 3rd different driver take a podium this season for the first time in Tier 1. Other drivers are just racking up constant penalties here on our grid. Here we go. 3-car race to turn 1. And they're splitting the Chiller. He's left out to dry in the middle. TB through, Freeman through, but the Chiller back up the inside and collides with TB. Somehow, they both remain straight. Blonde getting the pieces up for 7th. Egg down the inside with a big dummy. He pulled a massive, massive dummy to try to get that place, but he couldn't do the up and under. Egger is really holding on for points right now, but he's about to be overtaken and dropped out of the points with the penalties that he's got for track limits. I believe he's got 6 seconds. Yes, he does. He's the only one in the points with 6 seconds, and Minico steals the fastest lap away from whoever previously had it. Here's the Chiller, once again, taking over P3. It is a constant DRS switchback for these positions. Fair play this race to only have 1 safety car and 1 retirement. This race last season had 2 DNFs. And no safety car too. So not bad to say the least. 3 laps remaining. The time is ticking down for Tyler Freeman to try to defend this podium place over to Chiller. Here he goes. Slipstreaming, slingshotting past, taking the place back. I'm sure the Chiller would want that 3-second penalty appealed, but I don't think he can get it appealed, considering he constantly exceeds the track limits. TTM Barney is trying to take off Adam for P12. This would be a nice finish for Barney, for Haas. Not too far behind the teammate. Barney's had a lot of races in the later stages of the season, not in the points and nowhere near. The Chiller got cut off there from Tyler Freeman and had PTSD flashbacks, I think, to what happened with Jacob in that corner right there on lap 25 3 seasons ago. But now he's trying to fight for a podium at least on track in his home race and to get Ferrari up there with both cars. And now it's equal playing ground. Tyler Freeman into the penalty club. 3-second time penalty. He went out of bounds and cost himself a potential shot at a podium as a free man. We're on lap 26 now, and KVS will surely get this podium now for Ferrari. Cookie with the podium too, but now it's going to be a question of what place after the penalties get applied with the Jack Mile incident. But here they go, about to be 3 abreast for turn 1. TB, the latest of the breakers, but not late enough to pass the Chiller. TB through on Freeman, the Chiller through on Freeman. The Chiller now will have P3 and will be getting right now his first podium since Hungary last season, round 11. Barney through on Adam. How long has it been since this guy's last podium? Cookie, 8-second lead, just continuing to extend it. I need to count this, man. This has been too long from this guy. Final lap underway for Cookie, our race leader. But the battle rolls on for P3. The Chiller, trying to take his first podium in 26 races, is being overtaken by TB on the main straight. And does Freeman go for it too? Oh, the Chiller, massive, massive block, but back down the inside. He's connected wheels with TB, and he's just sent Freeman off on his debut, who is contending for a podium. His chance for a podium is done and dusted. And I think that was another track limit penalty by one of the drivers. Jack Miles just threw up into P5, but the Chiller could be seeing the steward's office after that contact. Who was it that got a penalty there? I think it might have been TT and Barney, but Knights is now fighting for the 9th place spot. Owen will currently get that on the penalties being applied, but Cookie is about to do something that he has never done. Spin and win. Here comes Cookie into Parabolica. Provisionally, before the steward's report comes out, he will do a spin and win to take win number 12 on the season. Cookie wins Monza after being last at the start. NRM KVS with his best finish. He will claim a home podium for Ferrari, his second in RPL. TB comes across third, and the Chiller is just shy of a podium after his misfortunes that he had on the last lap. Blonde just barely takes over P6. We've got Jack Miles P5. Freeman only 7th on debut. Knights, Andrea, and Owen, your last points runners. What a shame for Freeman, who got spun out there by the Chiller on the last lap, contending for a podium. And the Chiller, a shame for him, who could have done better in his home race. Tadpole, a big shame too as well, because he got collected in the Minico and Owen collision. And Minico comes across as the last runner, P15. Crossing the line. Wavy crashed in the last lap. Tadpole crashed. And Minico will have a lot of words with drivers after his numerous collisions that he had throughout this race. Cookie wins the Italian Grand Prix. It's the first Italian Grand Prix to be won by a driver from pole position since season 6, Cookie has mastered it here to take win number 84 for Red Bull. He is now third on the all-time win list, Cookie is, and it's his 12th win from pole, being second on that list of drivers winning from pole. 3 different teams in the podium, and this is what we saw provisionally last season in this race before the penalties were applied. A 9-second gap from Cookie. He'll win this race as long as he doesn't get a 10-second time penalty for the collision with Jack. I think has to go to either Blonde or Cookie. I mean, Tyler Freeman is a good candidate too for what he was able to put up in this race, but not enough. Cookie wins. KVS, the best finish in second, just shy of a win. TB is third with yet another podium. It's podium number 6 for him on the season. The Chiller, Jack, Blonde, Freeman, Knights, Andrea, and Owen are points runners. At the end of the race, we lost Dom, Tadpole, Wavy, and Gecko. Sorry, we did not lose Dom, excuse me. Just came across, I think, leaving the session at the end of the race. So that was unfortunate for him. Blonde, a really good showing from being out in Q2 in that AlphaTauri to get a points finish here in P6 for the team that desperately needed. They've not had points in 6 rounds. They're back in the points. Knights, a really good showing as well. He's back in the points too for Haas. Andrea, a much needed points finish for McLaren. He did not have the best of showings today, but he's able to get points in his home race. Owen, P10 for Aston after that spin. Freeman only P7. Jack P5. Good result for Alpine constructors-wise. Jack was P5 at the end of that race after he had some misfortunes early on being spun out by Cookie. Maybe what could have been for the podium there with the penalties being applied. And also Tyler Freeman on debut could have got podium. He would be the first driver, I believe, on debut to get podium since I want to say any of the drivers back in season 7 at the earliest. That's crazy. What a crazy race here tonight it was in Monza, folks. Oh my goodness. I'm out of breath. I think I got a little nervous being by myself with so much on the action. I was trying to cover so much. It was crazy. But the Chiller will have to wait yet another race to be back onto the podium. Cookie provisionally wins the race before the stewards report comes to us after he spun out Jack Miles earlier on. I think it will probably go down as a 5, but if it goes down as a 10, he will lose the race victory to KVS, getting a home win for Ferrari in what would be his first in RPL at Tier 1. He's won before in Formula Endurance, but I don't think that incident will be worth 10 seconds. I think it is worth 5 seconds. And Cookie spun and won. He pulled the gap. He was P19 last in the opening laps after that incident, and he won this race. That, to me, is either him or Blonde getting driver of the day for that. That's impressive. All right, folks. The rest of the weekend, we are in Britain. Tomorrow for Formula Endurance, we'll find out if the race does go forward due to the lack of attendance currently that we're seeing. But as for next week's races, tune in for Tier 2 in Monza. They race there. This is a nice little preview for what that will be for them. And next week for RPL F1, tune in to Singapore. We go back there for round 17. We don't have much longer left of the season, so make sure you tune in to see when Cookie can win the championship, folks. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and RPL Tire and Iron will be back with me for next week in the event of Singapore. We will see you for either next week in Singapore, Tier 2 next week in Monza, or tomorrow in Britain for Formula Endurance. I am signing off. Have a good night. We will see you next week or tomorrow.